from Channel 5. This is the 10 o'clock news with Mike Jackson and Deborah Norville.
Good Sunday evening. I'm Mike Jackson.
And I'm Deborah Norville. Investigators are trying to unravel the mysterious string of cyanide poisonings in the Chicago area tonight. Say they have more than 24 good, hard leads in the case. But so far, none of those leads have led authorities to a solution in the puzzle. And one possible lead, which yesterday officials called very interesting, tonight has been discounted. In trying to solve the mystery of the cyanide killer, investigators at Task Force headquarters have taken what little they do know and tried to work from there. For example, they do know that only one contaminated bottle was placed in each location where the cyanide was found. That's led investigators to theorize the cyanide killer got the Tylenol, poisoned some capsules, and then randomly placed the bottles in stores. They do know that all the victims became ill on Wednesday from newly purchased bottles of Tylenol, leading them to theorize that the poison pills were put in the store only a day or two before. And they do know that while some of the poison capsules were filled and meticulously closed, others appeared mangled and damaged, meaning possibly that more than one person was involved.
Just looking at the capsules indicates that more than one person could be doing it. We don't know that. It could be one who simply uses greater or less patience in any given capsule.
But by the time agents returned to headquarters today, officials were able to discount some of their theories from yesterday. For example, the task force no longer considers the person arrested in August for shoplifting Tylenol a lead.
The shoplifter that stole Tylenol was determined or found out to have been locked up in a state correctional institution almost from the day that the theft occurred.
And other avenues which could lead somewhere haven't yet. Tests at the State Crime Lab in Maywood for latent fingerprints on poisoned capsules and bottles are not yet complete. But investigators are hopeful that since a capsule easily takes a fingerprint, they may find some. In the meantime, pavement pounding by investigators is paying off with leads, but still no suspects.
With us now is the state's Attorney General, Tyrone Fainer, who, as we reported, has been leading up the state task force investigating the Tylenol poisonings. It's been 3 or 4 days now since you found any cyanide. At what point will you decide that the risk is no longer present?
Well, the risk will be present as long as there are potentially capsules in some of the homes, but the public has been tremendous in getting the material back to us and turning it in. We just don't know what's out there potentially for later, and we won't know that until the crime is solved.
I want to understand the distribution of these capsules. I think Deborah's report alluded to the notion that there is every likelihood the capsules were purchased in one area and then placed on a shelf in another store. Is that how it happened?
Our investigation generally tells us right now that the person that's doing this secured a number of bottles either by theft or by purchase in one or more stores, but in the general area because the batch numbers match up. Remove those capsules from the store, took the capsules apart, put cyanide in them, put them back, put the cotton back in, the top back on, back in the package, and then back on the shelf. And in no case so far have we found more than one bottle of cyanide capsules at any particular location. It's done randomly as far as we can tell, but in no case more than one bottle.
You've said that a couple of 100,000 capsules have been turned into the state. Those are at Joliet being tested right now.
That's right.
You say that's your number one priority. That is what? To help you know that if there was more poison cyanide out there somewhere that fortunately didn't get into someone's hands?
Well, that's part of it, Deborah, but the other part is we found, for instance, at the Woodfield Mall, by taking the 9 bottles that were on the shelf off, we found 1 bottle with cyanide capsules. This will help us find out the extent of the problem and the geographical area that we have to be concerned about. But we are taking all the materials that we've removed from the shelves and testing them first. We're not even into the materials that were in the back order or in the distributor shops right now. But also, the more that we can find that are hot items, that is, have cyanide, that's a better opportunity to lift fingerprints from the pills or from the bottles or the boxes. And that's part of our investigation as well.
Have you been able to pinpoint a pattern on the location of the stores? The Woodfield store, it's all in the north and the northwest. There hasn't been anything so far on the south side.
Well, that's correct. It's all been north, northwest, and of course at one location in the city, the Walgreens store, where the stewardess died. That's all we know right now. By tomorrow, we'll have the basic screening done, hopefully by the end of tomorrow, on the materials removed from the shelves, and we'll have a better idea of this pattern.
Do you really expect to find fingerprints? As I understand it, cyanide can be absorbed through the skin, and the person playing with it would certainly understand its potential danger, wouldn't you think they'd be wearing rubber gloves or something like that?
Well, you know, we're making assumptions that people act rationally, and that's the kind of a person that would do this. We just don't know what kind of a person that is. But beside that, you would pick up prints off a box or a bottle as well, and perhaps the gloves would not enter in. It would be pretty difficult to replace a lot of those capsules with gloves on. It's kind of a difficult thing to do. We've tried it. You may see what we're talking about.
One thing that we've made some calls about is out in Elgin, 2 Kane County Sheriff's officers discovered a box that had a couple of bottles of extra-strength Tylenol. Some of the capsules had been opened. Have there been any tests done on that? If so, have the tests come back? And is this linked? Because 2 of the officers did get ill after they handled those capsules.
The tests are being performed. It's part of all the lab work we're doing. We should know that tomorrow. I've made a particular request because of the public interest, but we do not believe, based on other criteria we have right now, that that particular incident is linked to this. The illness of the 2 officers, which really occurred before all this broke, or at about the same time, is not of the variety that you would normally have with a cyanide poisoning. At least that's what the medical people tell us.
I understand he has been dizzy, nauseous, the same.
Also has swollen elbows, and perhaps a doctor could tell us, but other medical people have suggested there are a lot of other alternatives that are more feasible.
Mr. Fainer, thank you for being with us. Please don't go away. We're going to be back to talk to you again in just a few moments. We've been talking a good deal about the research that's being done to try to find cyanide inside various capsules. Product from around the county continues to pour into laboratories where technicians are testing them for the poisonous cyanide. So far, they haven't come up with any more adulterated capsules. Health reporter Barry Kaufman reports that it is not only a tedious task, it's also potentially dangerous.
Police and city inspectors continued bringing in their catch of Tylenol products today, removed from store shelves and city residents' medicine cabinets. In the Daly Center basement laboratories, health department technicians had, by early evening, already analyzed 200 bottles, 33,000 tablets, and 46,000 capsules.
Tell me about what it's like opening all these Tylenol capsules.
Well, it gets pretty monotonous sometimes.
It's been quite a grind.
I'll never take another Tylenol, and I'll never sniff another Tylenol.
You frustrated that you haven't found anything?
Oh, no, we're not frustrated at all. I think it would be nice to find something, but the real point of this is to assure the public that the product is safe and to get all the potentially dangerous products out of the consumers' houses.
A serious question has arisen, however, over how safe the testing procedure is for the testers. The system used is to empty all the powder out of the capsules, put the powder back in the container, and then add water. If any cyanide is present, it would react with the water, releasing cyanide gas. 5 people have been assigned the task of smelling each sample.
Are you worried at all that you're going to open one of these things and take a whiff and all of a sudden be in trouble?
No, I don't think so.
You sure?
I'm hoping.
Well, as far as the odor concerned, it's just a part per million or so that you're picking up. You're not absorbing into your body.
But isn't that how they execute people with cyanide gas?
Yeah, well, this is a very low concentration. It's detectable in such a low concentration. You may smell it, but it's not any lethal dose.
Toxicologists at the State of Illinois lab, where testing is also going on, think the smelling idea stinks. And they say a simple, safer system of putting in each bottle a special paper impregnated with a cyanide-detecting chemical works just as well. And the powder doesn't have to be emptied out of each capsule. If cyanide vapor is present, as it is in this container, which once contained capsules that killed the DuPage County woman, the strip changes color. Dr. Jorg Pearl had this warning for those using the smell test.
You know, I hope that they live. Yes, I hope they don't die. But we've had a chemist here that we had placed in the hospital on a case prior to this, where he went and opened a bottle that he thought was urine content and smelled it and then hit the floor because the solution was a sodium cyanide solution.
Chicago Health Department officials say tomorrow they will begin switching over to the paper strip test, but add that until they're convinced this method can detect extremely small amounts of cyanide, they say they'll continue also using the smell test on at least some of the samples.
Chicago Health Department officials will decide tomorrow morning whether to slow the testing pace. This will depend on how many samples remain and also on the need for getting department technicians back to their regular jobs. Elsewhere, a different kind of test will begin as the Cook County Medical Examiner and state toxicologists start going back over unexplained deaths during the last several weeks to see if any were cyanide poisonings. Deborah.
Thank you, Barry. Now that we're all together, let's take a few moments. I'd like to ask a question about a proposal you've made, and I think that Bernie Carey has made the same suggestion. Thompson has as well, and that is that only sealed drugs be allowed to be sold in the state of Illinois. One Food and Drug Administration spokesman was quoted the other day as saying, that's silly, you can't possibly legislate the sanity of every citizen. How do you defend such a proposal?
Well, that's true. You can't legislate the sanity, but once again, common sense will tell you that you do everything you can to make life a little safer for people and to deal with this kind of a problem. And the FDA will have to do a rethinking of its problem. I think the industry, when it realizes the potential damage to it, will be more than willing to do it. Now, we're drafting legislation that will both be meaningful and constitutional so as not to interfere with commerce, but it will have to be national as well.
This could change in many ways the way drugs are sold. This one incident could have a tremendous impact.
Well, are there any states that have laws like this now? Or municipalities?
To my knowledge, there are none in particular, but the millions of dollars that the McNeil people are pouring into this to be helpful, and they're as much a victim as the people that have been deceased, will demonstrate to the rest of the industry that this is something we ought to do.
Question for you, and that is that not only sealing the outer containers, but also it is possible to have capsules that are much more self-sealing. The McNeil people admitted that they could have done that with these, but just did not. Will your legislation also address that, so that it would be the capsules having to be sealed also?
Yes, it will. We're drafting the legal language right now, but we're getting input from the retail merchants, the industry people, so that we're doing something that they can do that'll be helpful and not be an undue burden. But it's a step in the right direction. It's all hindsight, unfortunately, and it may not have prevented what we're talking about here, but it's a step in the right direction. We've got to do it.
One final question before we wrap this up. Last night you seemed very optimistic when you came out and you gave us the results of the debriefing. Today you said you have a couple of dozen good hard leads, but I didn't detect the same optimism.
No, I'm optimistic. I'm just tired as the agents are. We've been at this now with 3-4 hours sleep a night, and it's hard to look all pumped up when you're working that hard. But we'll get the job done. We're doing it professionally with professionals. It's well organized. We're not going to have the problems they had in Atlanta because we're working together. And that's what it's all about, and we will solve this.
Attorney General Feener, thank you for joining us tonight. And Barry, good having you on board.
Thank you. Officials are asking store owners to remove all Tylenol, not just the extra-strength Tylenol, from their store shelves. However, despite this, we do have reports that there are still some suburban stores which are stocking Tylenol products. Now, another difficulty has been in getting the Tylenol warning to Chicago area residents who don't speak English. Jill Doherty has more on that problem.
Since Thursday, radio, television, and newspapers have been saturated with warnings about Tylenol. But some people who don't speak any English, haven't been getting the message. To spread the word, ethnic communities have enlisted help from their own volunteers and from police. Police beat representatives Cliff Williams and Joan Miller from the 13th District went door to door this afternoon, passing out warning leaflets in Spanish and English and collecting bottles of Tylenol their neighbors might still have. According to Joan Miller, some people didn't know about Tylenol contamination.
One lady in this building right over here, she couldn't speak any English. And then one lady told us in the same building that she had taken Tylenol and she had thrown it in the garbage.
Many ethnic groups have enlisted the help of churches, which are announcing the warning at services. The Chinese American community posted signs in stores, and representatives went through the streets in police squad cars, announcing the danger in 3 dialects.
各位僑胞請注意，為咗各位僑胞安全起見，請唔好服用Tylenol。
The Tylenol story was headline news in today's issue of the World Journal, and Bernarda Wong says that she hopes the message gets through.
We had a lady who was giving Tylenol liquid to her child, and she had not heard about the news, and she was wondering whether or not she should continue to give.
Most of the Polish Americans in the Orbit restaurant on Milwaukee had heard about Tylenol through Polish newspapers and on the radio.
Extra strength Tylenol, який хтось змішав із отрутою cyanide.
Tonight, WEGC Radio was broadcasting advisories in Ukrainian, hoping that their countrymen who do not speak English would hear the warning. Jill Doherty, Channel 5 News.
Tylenol products, of course, have been taken from the shelves in the city of Chicago, but the capsules have not been recalled from the 6 foreign countries where they are also marketed. But as in the United States, advertising has been canceled in Ireland and Puerto Rico since discovery of the tainted pills in our area. A spokesperson for Johnson & Johnson says the extra-strength Tylenol shipped to the foreign countries does not come from batches that have been found to contain cyanide. Still to come tonight, tragedy at a hot air balloon race in New Mexico.
And in Lebanon, gunmen attack a bus full of Israelis near Beirut, killing 6 of them.
My brother Milton and I are economists, and when we rent cars, we study the price-value relationship. At Budget, I get instant recognition with the American Express card. He does too. But I get this free tuck-away tote bag, a suitcase that fits right in my briefcase, or a free certificate good toward this entire collection with each incremental rental. And he, Milton, this is not fiscal responsibility.
We welcome the American Express card. You get more than just a car at Budget.
Come on over to the right light. Where? Del Monte Light. People like it better. Get the flavor of a bright light. Del Monte Light.
People are switching to light fruit and deciding Del Monte Light tastes best. No artificial flavors or sweeteners. Just fresh fruit taste bursting through.
Come on over to the bright light.
Great fruit taste.
Del Monte Light.
Maxicare Intergroup thinks it's time to cut the aggravation out of group health insurance. So we cut out claim forms and we cut out annual deductibles. Maxicare cuts the cost of preventive care, too. There's no charge for routine exams. And if you're sick, Maxicare Intergroup pays 100% of eligible hospitalization. Maxicare provides maximum medical care, not paperwork. Ask your employer about Maxicare Intergroup, the new generation in healthcare.
Gorton's gives you 2 ways to say,
hello, Crunchy.
Goodbye, Soggy. Hello, Crunchy. Goodbye, Soggy.
That's right. Gorton's brings you 2 great kinds of fish sticks and fillets. Crunchy with toasted breadcrumbs and potato crisp with real potato crust.
Outside, they're never soggy, and inside, there's mild, flaky white fish.
One taste, and you'll say,
hello, Crunchy.
Goodbye, Soggy.
Trust the Gorton's fishermen.
6 Israeli soldiers were killed and 16 injured when their troop bus was ambushed in a Beirut suburb today. The grenade and machine gun attack occurred about 4 miles from the Syrian line. The attackers reportedly fired from atop a brick wall overlooking the road. After this attack, helicopters were used for an unsuccessful search of the area, and they also ferried the wounded to hospitals. The Israelis also imposed a curfew on the area and closed the Beirut to Damascus highway. Meantime, another landmine exploded in downtown Beirut. 2 French soldiers and several civilians were wounded. You may recall that a U.S. Marine was killed in a similar explosion earlier this week, and troops from the multinational peacekeeping force are intensifying their efforts to clear the city of mines.
Syria's foreign minister reportedly has told the Danish government that the Syrians would be willing to negotiate a treaty with Israel based on pre-1967 borders. Now, if that's true, it would be the first time that Syria has agreed to publicly recognize Israel's right to exist. The Begin government has not yet commented on the possibility of such negotiations with Syria. And in a related development earlier today, Israel's foreign minister raised the possibility of all foreign troops being out of Lebanon by the end of the year.
Well, I think there are bright chances that the withdrawal of the Syrian and the PLO and the Israeli forces will take place very soon. I hope until the end of this year.
Shamir also said he is confident that Israel and the Lebanese government can work together to keep the PLO from returning to southern Lebanon. An international ballooning event ended in tragedy today in Albuquerque, New Mexico. A hot air balloon carrying 9 people exploded in a ball of flames, killing 4 of the passengers and injuring 3 others. An amateur photographer took these pictures at the scene. A witness says 3 people fell from the burning balloon after hanging onto the gondola hundreds of feet up in the air.
Jerry Taft is standing by to join us after a break for a look at the weather for the first week of October.
And then a little bit later on, Chet Kopic will be here with all the sports, including baseball pennant highlights.
This Temptation in Natural Ranch Mink is 35% off during Evan's 53rd anniversary sale. What better time to give in to temptation?
You're about to view the American luxury car in a slightly different light. Introducing the Continental. It's not only the finest riding Continental ever made, responsive Continental ever engineered. The trim, responsive Continental. The ultimate Lincoln.
When the hotels that welcome the American Express card get ready for you, they know what you expect. They know how to prepare for you, comfort you, excite you, and care for you, because they know you. You're an American Express card member. They know what you expect.
Mr. Barry, we've been waiting for you.
Take the card to Radisson Hotels. They know what you expect.
Another beautiful fall weekend. The leaves in my neighborhood are starting to turn already. How long will all this last, Jerry?
Well, actually, it looks like pretty good weather through the week. Temperatures at or above normal, but remember, it is October. I was checking up on some things. First of all, we normally have our first freeze by the last week of the month, and we have about a 50-50 chance of seeing some snow flurries also by the end of the month, neither of which is in the forecast for this week. As a matter of fact, this week it looks pretty good. We had a low this morning of right near 50 degrees. High this afternoon, 75. That's 4 degrees above the normal high of 71. And as I mentioned, throughout the week, we will see temperatures at or above normal. Right now at O'Hare, 55, downtown 60. The barometer rising, humidity 74%, and the wind is out of the south. Now for tonight, no problems. Fair skies, a little bit cool. Overnight lows, about a 10-degree spread. 53 in the city, 43 in the outlying areas. And then for tomorrow, should be a beautiful day. Sunny, pleasant, high temperature 75 and a little bit cooler near the lake. And as a matter of fact, the pick of the week, the best day of the week should be tomorrow. So let's look forward to that. 75, as I mentioned, and a lot of sunshine. Now you can see from the latest satellite picture tonight, we do have cloud-free throughout most of the central part of the country. Also some showers down along the Gulf Coast, and those move up the East Coast. And in those, a little bit of rain shower activity, but nothing headed towards Chicago. Now, out west, there is some rain, as you can see on the National Radar Summary, through parts of Montana, Wyoming, stretching over into the Pacific Northwest. This is really the only cool area of the country, and as that cool air pushes in, we will get some clouds and a couple of showers midweek. It looks like about Wednesday we will see some shower activity in Chicago. But for now, we're dominated by high pressure, and we'll have winds generally off the lake tomorrow, but mild air, as I mentioned, a high of 75, but a little bit cooler right along the lakefront with that onshore breeze. And then starting Tuesday night and Wednesday, we'll start to get warmer air into the area, so we'll be 78 to 80, and then these showers associated with that cool front will be through Wednesday, and Thursday and Friday a little bit cooler, but not that much cooler. Actually, temperatures only falling off into the low 70s by the end of the week, and the low 70s is about normal for this time of year. Normal high is 71 degrees. That's okay, Ed, you can put them in there. Tomorrow's high, 75, and a lot of sunshine. Then on Tuesday, a little bit warmer, 78. We'll start off with sunshine and get some cloudiness late in the day. On Wednesday, 80 degrees and rain showers. And then as you can see on Thursday, we'll get back some of the sunshine, but a little bit cooler with a high of only 70. Friday, bright sunshine and a high of 72. So it looks like the best days of the week would be tomorrow, and Friday doesn't look too bad either.
Terrific. Thanks, Jerry.
Thanks, Jerry. Coming up, Chuck Kopic will be up next with all of today's sports, and then later on, a look at the Thompson-Stevenson TIF going national, plus Roger Ebert with the latest review of a teenage love story.
Of the best-selling motor oils today, 14 now save gas. But only one saves gas. Offers cold weather starting down to 35 degrees below zero, the best protection under extreme heat, and has the ability to take you 25,000 miles between oil changes. Only one. Mobil One.
Do you have a lawyer? Most Americans don't. That's why we started Hyatt Legal Services, a new kind of law firm now with offices throughout the country where you can discuss your problem with an attorney for just $15. And for cases like divorce, bankruptcy, and wills, we have standard fees that are very reasonable. At Hyatt Legal Services, we care about you. I'm Joel Hyatt, and you've got my word on it.
Hyatt Legal Services has offices throughout the area. Call for an appointment.
Now, Estee Lauder helps skin care become skin repair.
Introducing her new Night Repair, a cellular recovery complex that works every night to help speed the natural repair of cell damage from the day's ultraviolet light. Estee Lauder's new Night Repair. There has never been any beauty treatment like it. Use it and wake up to better-looking skin.
Night Repair, now at Carson, Perry, Scott & Company.
They say you can't take it with you, but with Zenith's new lightweight portable video recorder, you can. It's one of 5 new Zenith Beta VCRs, from the popularly priced model to the most deluxe. Some with wireless remote control, slow motion, stop frame, even front load. All with speed search and all with Zenith's famous picture quality. Zenith. The quality goes in before the name goes on.
I got to say it, even a diehard football fan like me hasn't missed it with the baseball playoffs the way they are.
I'll tell you something. In all the years I've watched baseball, I can never recall a week that was so climactic like this week. If this wouldn't make you a baseball fan, believe me, nothing would. All right, good evening, everybody. Boy, there has got to be some real partying up in the beer town tonight. Milwaukee Brewers, champions of the American League's Eastern Division, knocking off Earl Weaver and the Baltimore Orioles today by a final of 10-2. Lots of Brewer power. There's Robin Yount with his 28th home run in the Brewer half of number 1. Milwaukee led 1-0. Robin again, the Milwaukee half of number 3. This guy's got to be the American League most valuable player. Milwaukee led at this point 3-0. Now in the 5th, it's Cecil Cooper's turn. A long power alley four-bagger for Coop, his 35th home run of the year. Milwaukee led by 4 at 5-1. Wasn't much that Wild Bill or Earl Weaver could do today as Weaver says goodbye in Baltimore, wishing his counterpart, Harvey Keene, good luck in the American League playoffs. So for the Milwaukee Brewers and their owner, Bud Selig, their first ever American League Eastern Division championship, Harvey's Wallbangers can now point toward a showdown with Gene Mauch and the California Angels.
We're all in a good mood. We're in a good mood because we won, and that's why we all play the game, and that's to win, and we happen to win today, so we feel great.
I can't think of any place that's any more fun to be than out there in the middle when it's on the line. It's so much easier. It's so much easier to play than to watch it.
The fans didn't buy it.
The South shall rise again. The Atlanta Braves. Boy, the Atlanta Braves, they had to be a 100-1 shot at the beginning of the year, right? Tonight, they are champions of the National League's Western Division. However, it took some nail-biting. For openers, the Braves today were 5-1 losers at San Diego. Pick it up for you in the Padre half of number 5. There's the big blow. The opposite field triple by Alan Trammell off Braves starter Rick Camp. The Padres go on to win by a final of 5-1. That 3-bagger cleared the bases for San Diego. Now, obviously, the Atlanta Braves required some help today, and they got it up the California coast because San Francisco did what it wanted so badly to do, knock off Los Angeles by a final of 5-3. There's the game-winning belt by 39-year-old Joe Morgan, who always plays so well against the Dodgers. That came in the 7th inning. Now we skip along to the 9th. 2 out. The batter is Bill Russell. The ground ball to Darrell Evans. The relay to first. The Atlanta Braves are now champions of the National League West. All Tommy Lasorda and the Bums can do is think about what might have been. Atlanta, champions. After 8 straight years in the 2nd Division, they are celebrating down south on Peachtree Street tonight. Ted Turner in the locker room shared the champagne with third baseman Bob Horner. As for the manager Joe Torre, it was time for reflection.
We started the season winning 13 in a row. Then we lose 19 out of 21. People say, I told you so. They're not that good. And then all of a sudden they started growing up, and they win 13 out of 15. And from then on, it was tooth and nail right down to the end. And when they won that game in Dodger Stadium on Wednesday night, I said, we've got it.
Now, Tony La Russa and the White Sox end up 82 with a record of 87-75. White Sox today a 5-run victor over the Minnesota Twins. Final at the Metrodome, 6-1. It became 1-0 in the White Sox half of number 4 when Tommy Paciorek hit his 11th home run of the year. Now we'll move to the White Sox 8. This has got to be the White Sox MVP. Harold Baines, 23 years old, his 25th home run of the year. Lamar Hoyt got the victory. He ends the year 19-15. Cubs end the year 73-89. The St. Louis Cardinals, playoff bound, survived the Cubs in 14 today over on the north side. This is milestone time in the Cub half of number 8. Bill Buckner finally ended the drought. Billy Buck with the double to the opposite field, down by the warning track. That was Buck's 200th base hit of 1982.
In the 13th inning, a Cub comeback, down 4-3. Scott Thompson hit one for extra bases out to right center field. Scored Ryan Sandberg. Scotty wound up with a triple. The ball game was tied at 4. Cubs really deserved to win this one, but no dice, because in the 14th, Ken Kravik fed the gopher ball to Julio Gonzalez. Cardinals a winner by a final of 5-4. And can it really be just 183 days until next year's Cub opener with Montreal? That's the ticket. It's only 10:30 a.m. and already Cub fans are lining up at Clark and Addison to see their ball club for the last time this year. Parking attendants in full swing, directing the Wrigley Field traffic.
Hats, caps, T-shirts.
Souvenir vendors are busy too. The latest and most popular item is a Cardinals divisional championship pennant. Inside, concession workers prepare hot dogs, cold drinks, and the beer for fans waiting outside. What do you miss most about baseball?
People and looking at all the players and meeting the players and their wives and meeting everybody else, the newsmen like you, and a lot of people. Fancy little kids. Yeah, all the children and all the fans.
On the field, first baseman Bill Buckner is taking early batting practice, honing his swing in search of his 200th hit for 1982. It's a time to say goodbye. Baseball 82 draws to a close for the Chicago Cubs. It becomes a time for reflection, and it becomes a time to look to the future.
We're a unique ball club in the fact that we've had a great August and September, something that hasn't happened with a Cub ball club in 20 or so years. Record indicates that. And the development of our young ball players. And those were the two things that we wanted to do because we're building. And all we have to do now is hope we can have some luck in the free agency market and hope that we're blessed with a couple of good trades. And then we ought to keep continued progress with our ball club. We have only scratched the surface of what we have to do in a real tough division.
The mood inside the Cubs clubhouse is loose, very loose. Ferguson Jenkins autographing posters commemorating a 3,000th strikeout. Buckner back at his stall going over a volume of fan mail. Everyone seems satisfied about the Cubs' brisk finish, a finish of 34 and 24 since the 1st of August.
We had nothing to play for, and, you know, the guys came out and really worked hard, and, you know, we played every game like we were in a race, and, you know, that's just something good to see.
There were a lot of remarks early in the year about the new tradition, and people were really laughing and snickering about it, and we had some bad times. And as I reflect back on those times and look ahead to 1983, I don't think people are going to be laughing anymore.
Up in the bleachers, it's business as usual. Business being one big party. Everyone's friends, forever loyal to the Cubbies.
Everybody here is great. We have a good time, 2 bucks, have a few beers. Everybody has a good time. That's a major thing in the baseball here in the bleachers, I think.
You've been to over 70 ball games this year. What's the lure about the bleachers that brings you out day after day?
2 bucks a day.
Turnstiles were still spinning at game time. Vendors continued to hawk programs and scorecards.
Anybody else here, program?
It was indeed a beautiful day for a ball game, but the changing color of the ivy on the outfield wall indicates it's time to close shop on another Cub. We maintain the beauty of this baseball palace. Time to say goodbye to freshman ball girl Marla Collins, to Leon Durham, who's just beginning to show his enormous potential. Goodbye to Harry. So long to Vincent Liu. And what can you say to Jay Johnstone, who gave Cub fans some key hits and comic relief in good times as well as bad times? Yep, it's wait until next year time, but lots of people can hardly wait. Are you anxious for the start of 1983? Yeah! Now, the Cubs made news off the field tonight at a meeting involving General Manager Dallas Green, Manager Lee Elia. Batting coach Billy Williams was fired by the Cubs tonight. Williams, of course, representing a great legacy in Cub history. Remarkably, this man who has made so many contributions to the ball club has not been offered another position within the organization. I talked to Billy about 20 minutes ago, told me he was stunned by the firing. Meanwhile, the Cubs also dropped third base coach Gordy McKenzie and bullpen coach Tom Harmon. Now let's go to that scoreboard, the National League. How about Carlton? After going 0-4, he's now won 23 for Philadelphia. Jim Fanning is through as manager of the Montreal Expos. The Reds finished with 101 losses. The Jays end with a sweep of the Mariners. The Red Sox beat the Yankees in 11. Trammell had 3 RBIs for the Tigers. California beat Texas in the Who Cares game. Oakland knocked off Kansas City by 3. And we'll spotlight the Canadian Football League and have more sports for you after this time out.
Channel 5 Sports Sunday is being brought to you by Shell Oil and Heilemann Old Style.
Buying gasoline on a credit card can be confusing these days. Some stations have one price for cash, another price for credit. Well, Shell has one price for both, and we want your credit card business. So right now, you can use our competitors' cards, any oil company credit card, at Shell.
And when you do, I'll send in for a Shell card in your name, Shell, where you pay the same price, cash or credit card.
Nature, the master craftsman, takes time to create its magnificent bluffs, painted skies, and clear rushing streams. Old Style takes time, too, to brew beer Nature's Way. It's called Kreuznach, and it's the slow, traditional way of brewing using sparkling, pure, virgin spring water. Heilemann's Old Style, pure brewed in God's country, slowly and naturally.
I know you've been waiting for this with bated breath. Let's go to the Canadian Football League, north of the border once again for this week's substitute for the National Football League. This is Saskatchewan against Calgary. Now, Saskatchewan on the game's first play. It's an 86-yard touchdown pass from Joe 747 Adams to Dwight Edwards, who went the distance, aided, as you probably saw there, by that undetected clip. Saskatchewan winning by 45 points. This is Adams to Joe Waller made. That made it 14-0. It ended up in for the Rough Riders. Blackhawks in their final warm-up game tonight knocked off Emile Francis and the St. Louis Blues over at the stadium by a final of 5-2. Watch Dennis Savard here with some excellent stick handling in front of the net to Al Secord. Blackhawks led at that point 4-2. They win by 3. Jimmy Connors beat Bjorn Borg in a tennis tournament up in Montreal today in straight sets. The matchups, my friends, California, Milwaukee. I like California. Atlanta against St. Louis, and I'll never break your heart, my dear. I like Atlanta.
You better say that. Thanks, Chet. Coming up, Cook County Commissioner says he has a plan to keep businesses open in Cook County.
I get the biggest kick out of New York.
American Airlines gives you Broadway's biggest nonstop run with hourly departures to convenient LaGuardia Airport from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. every business day. You'll love flying to New York on American Airlines.
I'm fond of Honda.
I'm fond of Honda's great gas mileage. I get around town for just pennies.
I'm fond of Honda.
I'm fond of Honda's quality and styling. My new Accord is Chicago's finest.
We make it simple at your Chicagoland Honda dealer.
We make it simple to own a new Honda. With great year-end prices and super trade-ins, all of Chicago is saying, I'm fond of Honda.
Honda.
Chicagoland at Northwest Indiana.
We make it simple.
Taxi! I'm Brewster. How's the best salesman I ever had?
Great! I've got my own company and sales are really climbing.
Want to guess how?
This Bell Repriced 800 service for small businesses. We've opened new markets all over. They see our toll-free number, they call, and we've got a new customer.
Sound familiar?
As part of our telemarketing program, 800 service brings down the cost of selling.
Taught him everything he knows. I can.
Bell 800 service. It's another way to get things done today.
Ace at the place.
At Ace, we give you a helping hand, like this Best Buy of the Month, the Ames Green Sweeper Lawn Rake. Only $3.99. Lightweight, 4-foot wood handle, no metal parts to rust, and it does a real man-sized job.
But don't forget you'll need these sturdy cordite bags to finish the job. Heavy-duty 2-ply bags with ties. At another Best Buy at just $2.33.
And you save up to 40% on each.
Now that's what I call being helpful.
Ace is the place for the helpful hardware man.
And woman.
The trial of Teamsters Union President Roy Williams is set to begin tomorrow here in Chicago. Williams is charged with conspiring to bribe U.S. Senator Howard Cannon of Nevada. He's accused of trying to get Cannon to vote against a trucking deregulation bill by allegedly offering him a lucrative land deal in Las Vegas. Williams insists he's innocent. The Cook County Commissioner Bernard Carey says he's come up with 2 plans to help spark economic development in Cook County. Carey, who's running for board president, says his opponent, George Dunn, didn't do anything during his term to build up the county's economy.
He certainly did not bring on the recession, nor drive jobs and businesses out of the county, but he in effect stood idly by for years while this calamity was in process and took no discernible action or leadership to retain businesses, attract new ones, or attack unemployment in a creative way.
Kerry says his six-point plan will help keep businesses open in the Cook County area. He does not know how much his plan would cost, but he says the county could save money by developing a job development corporation staffed by federal employees.
Governor Thompson today announced $170 million in state and federal grants for public transportation in northeastern Illinois. He said the money will enable the CTA to restore tracks along the Jackson Park elevated line and to buy 350 new buses, as well as to help the RTA buy the bankrupt Rock Island commuter line. Thompson and his Democratic challenger Adlai Stevenson traded charges again before a national audience, this time on ABC this morning. Their exchanges with moderator Sam Donaldson included two touchy issues: Thompson's integrity and whether Stevenson regretted accusing the governor of calling Stevenson a wimp.
I'm sorry about what's happening to our politics. There's more and more extraneous, irrelevant, frequently fictitious matters like the one you just mentioned that invaded our politics.
Governor, do you think Senator Stevenson is a wimp?
No, sir. I think he's an ineffective leader, and I think his leadership in 10 years in the Senate proves it. If you ask somebody on the streets of Illinois what Senator Stevenson accomplished during the 10 years he was in the Senate, he can't tell you.
The governor was kind enough to say he does not think you are a wimp, which was one issue. Aren't you going to be able to say that you do not believe the governor has done anything wrong? Isn't that fair?
I certainly can't say that. In fact, a moment ago when we were talking about my achievements in the Senate, I could have added among many others that I once served as the chairman of the Senate Ethics Committee. Had the governor been one of my truants at that time, I'd have had a full-time job.
Governor, would you like to reply to that?
I don't know what that means.
Senator?
I think he knows.
If wimp is an issue, then winning is the goal, and Stevenson said today he still has hopes of winning despite today's Chicago Tribune poll, which shows that the governor has an 11-point lead going into the final 4 weeks of this campaign. Still ahead tonight, Roger Ebert will be along with a Scottish movie on young love.
Instead of the usual good deal at Midas, here's a deal that's unusually good.
Call your local participating Midas dealer about our special break offer now through October 31st.
Here are the controls of an Atari video computer system. Here are the controls of the Commodore VIC-20 home computer. Now, which one do you think really deserves to be called a computer? If you say the VIC-20, well, here's a little additional piece of information. The VIC-20 also plays games like you've never seen before, mere child's play for a true computer. The Commodore VIC-20, a real computer for the price of a toy.
The Commodore VIC-20 is available at all Kmart stores.
Can get a Dan and Bonnie, you can get a Dan and Bonnie. Your body can be a Dan and Bonnie. My body can be a Dan and Bonnie. Who can, you can get a Dan and Bonnie.
Start an exercise and low-calorie eating plan with Dannon yogurt part of it. Dannon is the one leading fruit yogurt that's not only low-fat, but all natural, with no added coloring or flavoring.
Who can, you can get a Dan and Bonnie. Wow!
Tonight, Roger Ebert is with us, and he's talking about a Scottish film that he says you can take the whole family to.
I think so, Deborah. A couple of weeks ago, I was reviewing a tough, violent high school movie named The Class of 1984. I thought that was a good movie, but a lot of people told me they thought it was too violent. Well, if you're one of those people, tonight I have the exact opposite. A tender, funny, whimsical high school movie, and a real good one, too. The movie's called Gregory's Girl. It's about a group of Scottish teenagers, and especially about a 16-year-old named Gregory who falls in love for the first time in his life. He confides his secret to a friend in home economics class. It's someone on the football team. Really? Yeah. Have you told anyone else about this? Probably just a phase. Who is it, Andy? No, it's Dorothy. She's a girl. Oh. She's got lovely long hair. And she smells, really gorgeous. She's a girl, and she's a better football player than Gregory. He falls hopelessly and shyly into love. You'll have a bruise there.
Not if I let it bleed. That's the idea. I don't bruise easily.
I do.
I bruise like a peach.
Really?
He likes all of her. He's in love with the east, the west, the north, and the south of her. But Gregory's girl doesn't want to be Gregory's girl, and the movie is about how Gregory survives this lesson in love and goes on to fall in love for the second time in his life. This movie's a real treasure, one of the nicest and most gentle movies about young love that's come along in a long time. The performers are all unknown. They have a real special charm, and so does the whole movie, which is suitable for the whole family, and it's playing only one place, the Water Tower Theaters.
One of those that reminds you of the first time you had a girlfriend?
Painfully so. My girlfriend was not quite that pretty, but then I wasn't quite as tall as Gregory either.
There's a report on the wires that says that the head of the Motion Picture Association says this is going to be a banner year for the motion picture business. Biggest
They
since,
have done
21 years, I think.
They've done $3 billion worth of business this year. It'll be the best year since 1961. Everybody's going to the movies.
Which is good for you, too.
Yes, it beats
Good for me and good for E.T., too. Phone home.
Phone home.
Thank you. Our top story tonight, of course, has been the continuing concern about the pollution, if you will, of Tylenol capsules with cyanide. The latest developments are that a Tylenol shoplifter has apparently been uninvolved from the case. Possibly more than one person is involved, according to the State Attorney General. And more samples are being tested with results expected tomorrow. That's it for now. Thank you, and good night.
Good night.
Introducing a new group of automotive dealers selling a full line of innovative cars and trucks from Mitsubishi Motors. Look for them where you see this sign.
The best of fall is now affordable at Charles A. Stevens. Check out the savings and specials today.
The post office handles over 300 million pieces of mail a day. And you're going to put your important business letter into that pile? Federal Express has an alternative.
Weekdays at 4:30, Ron Majors and Linda Yu bring you news that hits home, followed by Tom Brokaw and Roger Mudd with NBC Nightly News at 5:30. Then Jim Ruddle and Carol Marine examine a major issue in depth on the 6 o'clock report. And Ron and Linda return at 10 to wrap up the day's events. News that hits home, weeknights on Channel 5. A Channel 5 editorial follows immediately.
Tom King, general manager of the Merchandise Mart, and James O'Keefe, a prominent Loop attorney, are and have been two of the biggest Democratic Party fundraisers in Chicago over the years. They're also investors in Group W Cable, one of 3 companies competing for the cable franchise on the Northwest Side. Here's the setup. If Group W gets the franchise, King and O'Keefe put up $443,000 between them. 3 years later, whether or not the franchise is making any money, they can sell their interest back to Group W for $5.8 million guaranteed. That's like a bank offering a yearly interest rate of 136%. King and O'Keefe got themselves a mighty good business deal. The problem is it appears to violate the spirit and perhaps the letter of the city's cable TV laws. Mayor Burns spelled that out with this warning in the document requesting cable bids. Chicago seeks profitable cable franchises unburdened by giveaways of ownership interest to influential citizens. King and O'Keefe say it's no giveaway and they're not influencing anybody. They have valuable experience in the cable business, which is true. But they also have valuable connections with a lot of aldermen, and the city council makes the final decision on franchises. Even though cable TV is our competitor, we've been quick to praise the way Chicago's gone about bringing cable into the city, with the emphasis on a totally honest professional approach, free from influence peddling or clout politics. The decision on the Group W bid will tell us a lot about how serious that commitment really is.
Teachers, involve your students in the Channel 5 News TV news game.